Hi guys, happy Christmas jumper day. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing good. If you're new, I'm Katie and welcome to another bookish adventure. Why did I just say welcome really weirdly? So I actually have another book review, I know, and this one is The Woods Are Always Watching by Stephanie Perkins, and I read the previous one, There Is Somebody in Your House, last year as I wanted to get more into thrillers and murder mysteries and that kind of thing, and my friend bought me that one and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and so now I'm doing this one. I'm hoping to keep this spoiler free. I don't think I need to go into spoilers, but I'm just saying I'm not sure. This is a lot smaller. I mean, actually when I look at the page count it doesn't seem that smaller, but when I physically hold it this does seem a lot smaller. So I kind of thought, how is this really gonna pack a punch? Because, you know, the first book was longer and it was really good, and it was actually like kind of blew my expectations. I didn't really know what to expect, and it was a YA. So going into this one I was a bit like, You can also watch my reading vlog that I did on this, and I think also the Deathless Girls features in that one, so you can see kind of how I progressed with this book and my initial sort of reactions and thoughts and feelings. I did love this book. I think I enjoyed it more than the first one. It's a really tough one. I feel like because this covered a shorter period of time, it just felt really ramped up in comparison. It covers 3 days, so it definitely feels like a lot is happening really quickly. So this book follows two best friends who are about to go off to university college and they're about to be separated by like 2,000 miles. So they decide to go on this hike together through the woods for 3 days, and they end up walking into a waking nightmare. So going into this, I had some ideas and expectations. I was thinking perhaps, you know, there was actually going to be something supernatural in the forest. Possibly it was going to be someone following them. You know when like you watch one of those cliche things, they bump into someone and they seem super friendly and really helpful, and then you keep bumping into them and then suddenly they don't seem it and you're like, oh, murder vibes, something like that. I did wonder if maybe they were going to drink like water from the wrong source and they'd start hallucinating and something like that. So I had a few ideas as to where I thought this book might go. So it's told from both girls' point of view as they are doing this, and it starts as they are in the car on the way there. They have no experience. They do not know what they're doing. This is the worst idea they could possibly have come up with, and very quickly you learn their friendship, how they met, the differences between them, and kind of the roles that they play within the friendship. So this is Nina's idea. It's basically been the two of them. They don't really do what the other kids do, and I think Nina's kind of had this thought of, have we missed out? Should we have been doing this stuff? And then she's kind of like, you know what, this could be really fun, and Josie has just gone with it. Josie is a catastrophizer. After her dad died, basically she's one of these people who like, it's better to be prepped than sorry, and she thinks the worst of the situation. And I don't blame her, because as someone who doesn't do camping, I would not agree to do this. I really wouldn't. Unless I was doing it with someone who is experienced, I wouldn't do it. It would just be a bad idea. Basically it would go terribly wrong, I'm pretty sure. I think to begin with there is a little air of not resentment, but you know, she doesn't want to be there. And very quickly at the start of this they realize actually how much they aren't prepared for this, just from the weight of their packs. Obviously they have to carry everything, how many miles they have to cover in an hour so they can get to the campground, so they can set up before it gets dark, so they can like get their water ready so they can cook, all of this stuff. Things like rationing water throughout the day so they've got enough for the evening. It's massive things like that you just don't think about. This book is very teen. It is kind of, I don't want to say cliche, but it is very teen. The circumstances lead them to start picking at each other, and it happens very quickly. Each of them clearly harbour feelings because of Josie's home life. She relies a lot on Nina and her family, and I think her family have willingly taken her in, but because neither of them have other friends and they both have very different backgrounds, Josie looks at it like, Nina's leaving me to go off to uni, and whereas Nina looks at it like, she's going off to this big city, she is terrified, she doesn't know anyone, she feels like she can't talk about it with her best friend because she gets upset and she starts it down. So to begin with there is this kind of simmering resentment. So yeah, they do start picking at each other very quickly, and it is uncomfortable and it is so much fun. This is what I mean by the kind of teenage cliche side of things. It is awkward, and I sat there like, this is uncomfortable, and I love it. So by the end of the first day things aren't great. The second day is no better, and because of spite and pride they keep going, and it gets worse from that. From that point on it is just the biggest downhill ever. I really didn't know what to expect from this. I really didn't know where it was going to go, and it got to a point when I was like, what the hell? It's very fast paced because it covers the 3 days of the hike. It happens very, very quickly, and the relationship kind of fractures very quickly, so it's quite like, wow. This is a book that I found I wanted to sit and read. I was desperate to find any time to read it. Gavin had to go sign some paperwork to sort out his new car after his holiday, and he's like, do you want to come into the dealership? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm gonna read this. I don't care. You go do what you have to do with Citron. I don't give a shit. This was one of those books. It got to points where I had to stop reading. It was like cliffhangers, and it was like, oh my god. I will say that our trigger warnings for gore, to a degree, it's not in depth and really going into detail, but it's pretty. I was sat there like, wow, and I was trying to eat my lunch and I was like, I can't feel my anything. Yeah, so it is pretty grim, but it isn't massively going into detail, so it's not too bad, but I wasn't expecting it, and I was like, oh. And then the latter half of this book, once we hit day 2, things just ramp up and things get crazy and are just ridiculous, and this book becomes so much more than sort of testing the bonds of their friendship. This trip is just ridiculous. I will say, I mean, I enjoyed this book. I had the most fun with this book because I mean, I don't really know what I was expecting, and I think the fast-paced element really helped. It is definitely, the end definitely gets a bit crazy and it gets a bit far-fetched and maybe a bit silly, and some of the reviews I've seen have said that they thought the end was a little bit like, really? And yeah, I completely agree, but I also really just enjoyed it because I think this book just ramped up so much and got to this crazy point that actually I was like, you know what, this is so much fun. And I think if this was like one of those teen slasher just like cliche films, you'd love it because it's just ridiculous. And going into this, I did kind of have that element of what, I don't know what's gonna happen. It is a teen book, it is a ER book. I really enjoyed There's Somebody in Your House. I loved that when you pulled back and really learned about the killer and really saw all the elements as to everything and the bigger picture. I was like, oh damn. I think my problem was I didn't love the main character, and her big secret that she was hiding wasn't like, to me, wasn't the worst thing ever. It did feel like it was overplayed and overhyped. I would definitely say in comparison, that one seemed less far-fetched and ridiculous. This one seemed a little bit much. I think I could see why some people would argue have one or the other in what happens in this book, and I get that, but I still think it was a riot considering how small it is. I think it's 200 and something pages. Oh yeah, it's literally just about 210, 220s. It's pretty short. You probably could have done it without the end bit, but I just think it just ramped up and it was really fun. There is so much more from this book. I really want to know just them after everything, but you don't get that. You get them surviving the hike and that's kind of it. So you never know really how they feel from the end of it. You never really know the state of their friendship from the end of it, because I guess they're still, I mean, I assume they're still gonna go to uni. I mean, you'd be so traumatized, you'd be like, I'm never gonna leave my house ever again. All I can say, use this as a cautionary tale. Do not decide to go on a hike because you think you can do it. Go for a lovely hike, that's fine. Do not decide to go camping for 2 days when you don't know what you're doing because it's gonna end in disaster and probably arguments. I think that being the starting point when I picked this up and realized that they had no idea what they were doing made me think this is gonna go downhill fast, because they have relied solely on Josie's brother, who is a big hiker, really big into nature. There's a piece of fluff lying around, and he has basically plotted their entire map out. He's suggested alternative routes, things that they can do, and he's been really hot on the whole, really don't take things that are unnecessary. Like, they want to take marshmallows to do s'mores because her friends never had one properly, but she wants to do it. She wants to make it a part of their thing. And it's all these things that you just don't think about until you're carrying it all on you. And I feel like that sets the tone for this book really cleverly, because whilst they're struggling with the hike to begin with, Josie's trying to, Nina is trying to buoy Josie up and be like, you know, it's fine, but they're both struggling. Nina's having to borrow Josie's brother's girlfriend's shoes, or one or the other. Like, it's things like that. That's how unprepared they are for this situation. But I really recommend you read it if you just want to have some fun with the book, and yeah, you're not going to be too like, I need this to be perfect. I say read this because yeah, it was just a blast. That is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you've read this one yet. I kind of decided actually would do a book review for this because this is pretty much just come out and it's very unlike me. I hope you have a great day and I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next one.